Hey there, polyphonic.org. So I just got finished this last weekend playing with the Albany Symphony, and while I played with them, we gave a world premiere this last weekend, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that this week because it was a really cool experience and something that hopefully you'll be experiencing someday when you begin your musical careers. So the Albany Symphony this last weekend gave the world premiere performance of a work called Three Flavors for Piano and Orchestra, written by Aaron J. Kernis, an American composer. Is actually, calling it a world premiere is a little bit of a shaky thing because it's actually a sort of a reimagining of a work that was composed in 2002. He composed the exact same work, but it was for toy piano instead of for grand piano. It was only this last year that pianist Andrew Russo called up the composer and asked him to reimagine the work for grand piano. And giving world premieres is a really interesting and exciting thing because you never really know what you're going to get, even when the music is on your stand, until you start getting your fingers under it, or if you're a singer, until you start getting your vocal cords, I guess, on it. And that effect was sort of magnified in this experience because it's a piano concerto, and you're plugging your part in with the orchestra and with the piano and everything else. So got my part about a month in advance and got to practice a fair amount, which I had to practice a lot for this concert because there were lots of offbeat rhythms, lots of unexpected things, and lots of very, very fast tempos. Modern composers like very fast tempos. They like for their music to sound complex. So I got my music about a month in advance, and for the rehearsals, we had, we had 2 rehearsals on Thursday, 2 rehearsals on Friday, and then we had our 2 performances, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. So initially I got to know the work just with my part and with my metronome, which, by the by, when you're performing modern music and when you're giving world premieres, the metronome is your best friend. Always practice with the metronome when you're learning new music, just to make sure you've got the rhythms going, and do lots of practicing without the instrument or out of context. Just do a little clapping stuff just to really make sure that you've got the rhythm inside of you. You'll save tons and tons of practice time practicing in that way. But anyways, back to the music itself. So first, I learned the music all by myself. I just learned my part. And then, our first rehearsal was without piano. So first I had to learn the music all on my own, and then I learned the music in the context of my section, the viola section, and then in the context of the orchestra. And then finally, I learned it in the context of the orchestra and the piano. And then, of course, we all learned it again throughout the course of performing it, because you never really know what a work's totally about until you perform it. And then, of course, the recording was its own animal unto itself. So we really got to know this work from 4 or 5, 6 different angles. We really got to know the work inside and out. And I think the thing that I like the most about giving a world premiere is the sense of discovery, and of just really going where no man has gone before, so to speak, in a musical sense. With this work, I found that I had to be willing to make a little bit of a leap of faith. The other world premieres that I've given, I've known the music well in advance. I've had MIDI files to listen to, and I had the piano part in front of me, the piano part that would go along with my viola part, and all those other things. This time, no MIDI files, no YouTube files, no nothing. I got my part in the mail and I had to practice it. Most of it really didn't sound very good when it was just the viola part because it was so out of context and it was so sparse. So I had to go on a leap of faith while I was learning my part that eventually it was going to sound good. And then we as an orchestra had to also go on our own collective leap of faith as well, because even plugging our parts in together, we knew how it was supposed to sound, but your first couple of rehearsals are a little, you're really figuring everything out, figuring out how to make everything mesh, and you're focusing so much on getting it all to line up properly that you're not really listening to make sure that it sounds good. And, well, of course we're trying to sound good, but we're not judging the music yet. We're not trying to figure out, okay, is this really good music? We didn't really get the chance to do that until performance, and from that perspective it was really great that we got to do 2 performances of this work, because I really feel like the music got to grow on its own throughout the course of each of the performances, in fact, to the point that by the time the recording came on Monday, even in the recording, I was still noticing, new things that I hadn't heard before, and the conductor was drawing different things out of us and trying to rebalance things to make sure that everything was going okay. And the recording was in and of itself a totally new experience for me. I've had recording experiences before, but never with a big full-scale orchestra with close to 80 people on stage. And it's I really just went through the work chunk by chunk and recorded maybe 2 minutes at a time and just worked our way through like that, and we made it super, super efficient like that. But yeah, that's what giving a world premiere was like this last weekend. It's a really cool thing, and I really hope that all of you get the chance to do that someday, because it's really, it really tests you in a way that performing the works of Brahms and Beethoven doesn't. You really have to reach inside of yourself and reach out for your colleagues as well to be willing to put on a world premiere, such as the one that we did this last weekend, to really just get your hands on the music in a way that, that's just totally with the instrument and with yourself, and not with any kind of preconceived notions about what music is supposed to sound like. Just listening to the composer and listening to your colleagues. And it was a really cool experience. So, really hope that you enjoyed this video blog. Next week we're going to get back to practical skills. We're going to get back to equipping you for the real world as a freelancer. We're going to start off by talking about, elevator pitches is what's going to be coming up next. So tune in next time to hear about elevator pitches, and yeah, hope you enjoyed yourself. Tune in.